I think we are live. I think we should be live. Let me quickly double check that. Well, if you can see this, just quickly say hi or something like that in the chat box. I think we should be okay though. I think for me it shows we are live. So I think we are good. So what's up, lads? It's been an interesting day for the crypto market, all right? It's been an interesting 24 hours for all of us. And that's not in a good way. I'm going to say that today, even though it wasn't that bad, it's definitely not been a good day. So just to give you guys a quick little rundown, yesterday, obviously, we saw Bitcoin go right below $89,000. Pretty significant loss. Ethereum went below 2,900. XRP went to 203. 202, 203, something like that. Right now, we've recovered ever so slightly. And some of you may be wondering, hey, why exactly is that? Why were we able to recover? I'm going to say that 95% of the reason we were able to do that is because, let's quickly find it in here. Did I have it open somewhere? I should have it. I've got multiple pages and things of news, so let me quickly scroll through to see where exactly it is. Let's go to this section. Sometimes I do that, Sometimes it happens where you open too many pieces and it's just spread out everywhere. So let me quickly see here. Let's go through some of the pieces we'll be covering today, actually, matter of fact. I've got so much. That's going to be nice, though. So, obviously, the market did recover, mostly, I'm going to say partially, but mostly because of this right here. Nvidia adding 3 entire Solana market caps, or about 20 entire 𝗓𝗃 market caps in roughly a second, as they added $205 billion to their market cap in just, a snap, because they beat their earnings, right? And that's why the stock rose about 5%. And, well, Nvidia is freaking huge, so, so it added a ton to the market cap. Now, before we move on, guys, if you're watching this stream right now, we've got a few people coming in already. We've got 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏, we've got JDV Videography, we've got Play Kings, we've got 5 Spades, we've got 𝗕𝗪𝗪. If you're watching this right now, make sure you let me know in the chat box where you're watching from. I mean, from 𝗕𝗪𝗪, I already know because it's his name, but the majority of y'all, I have no idea. Let me know down below where you're watching from, and let's continue on, right? So that, I think, was the major event causing our crypto prices to stop with this hefty decline and see a little bit of positivity. Nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but a little bit of positivity. As instantly when this came out, the market went up a ton, but let me quickly see where I have the other post. So usually this doesn't happen. Usually I have it all in one area, but Nvidia beat their earnings, which usually is the most bullish event of the entire freaking, the entire season. Nvidia beat their earnings, and crypto is not looking horrific for the first time in 2 months. It's been really funny. Matter of fact, every single time that these guys did something with regards to earnings, the crypto market just saw some crazy moves. This is the first time we're seeing nothing. I mean, we saw a slight recovery, but in the grand scheme of things, nothing to write your aunts and uncles about, right? It's not really too crazy. And I'm kind of happy with that, because it could have been so. I was locked into my screen for Nvidia earnings. Imagine, right? All of a sudden, the crypto market started crashing more, and XRP fell below $2. Bitcoin fell below like 85 or something like that. That would definitely not be a very good day. Having said that, though, do you guys still believe that there's a 4-year cycle? And the reason I'm asking y'all is because it seems more and more like, indeed, ever since Wall Street came along, this whole concept of a 4-year cycle has now slowly but surely faded. And here's Box Mining, who said, 4-year cycle is dead because we let Wall Street in. Price is down because they are selling. They see Bitcoin as a risky asset. We see it as a safe haven. Our perspective is not the same as theirs. Where is most of the volume coming from right now? Spot ETFs. 2.9 billion outflows over the past week tells you what? They don't care if Bitcoin's whole existence is to solve this. And I disagree. And that was a response to somebody earlier who said, you do realize Bitcoin's whole existence is to solve this? I think personally, and this is my honest opinion, that first of all, the majority of the price movement is not coming from spot ETFs just quite yet. And I don't necessarily think they see Bitcoin as a risky asset. They see it as a risky asset in the form similar to gold for a lot of the people purchasing it. And you got to understand as well that many of these people are buying it based on Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, and probably other similar figures' recommendation to have a certain percentage of your portfolio as kind of like a hedge. It's kind of like a longer-term diversifying portfolio coin, let's call it. The majority of people that are purchasing within these ETFs are not what you can call it short-term speculators. And the reason I'm saying that is because we also saw yesterday, let me quickly open it up here, it's in my bookmark somewhere, that the UAE, I actually posted about it. Let me quickly find my own post in. Should take only a few seconds. If we scroll through here. We also found that the UAE, or at least an Abu Dhabi fund within the UAE, tripled their Bitcoin position in Q3 within IBIT, the BlackRock Spot ETF. There's a little video about it. You know what? Let's actually give this a little watch, right? Why not?
And we can see that.
We know in terms of their holdings and when they added to this position.
Yeah, so you can see that they've more than tripled their position right in the weeks and months up to the sell-off. So, it hit a record high in October, and we can see that they've tripled their position during the third quarter. They disclosed a position at the end of September that was worth around $520 million. And we can see that this is really going to be a part of their portfolio going forward. They're saying that they want to diversify it, and they really see it as the digital equivalent of gold.
And by the way, I should correct myself. I meant to say $500 million, not $500 billion. That would be tremendous. But Ben, getting back to you in London, when it comes to the Abu Dhabi Investment Council, just give us a sense of how this holding of Bitcoin fits in with their overall portfolio. What is their investment strategy?
Yeah, sure. So they're an investment unit of 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏. They're kind of run separately, but this really seems to be part of the overall strategy by Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates more generally to become a hub for crypto, as well as just to really become a player in the markets. You can see that 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏 itself also has significant holdings in Bitcoin ETFs. They've set up new funds such as MGX that have done deals with crypto exchanges like Binance. And you can really see that, they see this as an important long-term diversification play.
And how significant would you say Abu Dhabi Investment Council's move into the crypto sector is, not just for this entity, but for the region at large?
Yeah, well, look, it really gives it growing legitimacy. There's been a lot of questions about, institutional interest in it. Is it here to stay, or is it just a fleeting thing? We do see a lot of sell-offs in the Bitcoin ETFs recently as investor sentiment has turned. But it looks like the Abu Dhabi Investment Council is going to be in it for the long term. And this just really gives it legitimacy when a state-owned fund by one of the richest countries is plowing some of the reserve money into this. You can see that this is something that they really believe in.
Right. I think most people have heard of 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏, which you mentioned is the sovereign wealth fund. What exactly is the relationship between the Abu Dhabi Investment Council and 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏? I know that you said it's a unit of it, but how did that develop over time?
Yeah, sure. So there used to be a separate state-owned fund. They're mostly invested in private markets, particularly in North America. They've since been trying to diversify. A few years ago, just to sort of simplify the management, they were folded into 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏, but they're still run very separately. They have their own investment strategy that's different from the rest of 𝗓𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗏. And but you can see that both them and their ultimate parent company, they're both very interested in crypto and are looking for ways that they can play this.
Yeah, so I think the most important couple of notes in there, by the way, were the idea that they're in it for the long haul, that this is just a small part of their bigger strategy, and that they're very much interested in all this, because it kind of goes against this idea that's usually plowed around, that a lot of these ETF purchases are here just for quick gains and they see it as a risky thing. I think it's actually very much the opposite. They see it as like a longer-term play, a longer-term hedge, and it's, again, mostly being purchased on advice of the higher-ups over at, for example, BlackRock. Again, remember, these are all clients of an asset management company. If the asset management company has a new extremely hot product, it's not because it's most likely is going to zero, right? It's not because it's extremely high risk. I mean, extremely high risk for them, for the perspective that they only want to allocate a small percentage of their funds because still there's some potential. But again, that potential will most likely not be seen in just a few days or a few weeks. They all get that. This is TradFi we're talking about. They're not afraid of holding something for multiple months or years, right? At least that's my opinion on the matter. By the way, y'all, let me quickly pop out this chat if I can. How do I do it again? Pop out chat. There we go. By the way, let's quickly see in here. I asked it before in a poll, but I want to ask it again just like this. Out of all of you, how many of you think the bull market is still going on, and how many of you think that the bull market is over? The reason I'm asking that is because, to me, there's no question the bull run is still here. But I've been talking to a lot of people, and I'm going to say that the majority of people think the bull run's gone. And that's just because we've been going lower and lower for multiple weeks in a row. But I just see it as a temporary thing in a grand bullish thing. But it's starting to shift over the sentiment, right? The negativity is starting to really become interesting. Another note I saw a lot more people say is this is the end of a short-term bear market. Because again, if you're going down for 2 months or something like that, some would call it a bear market. At least some of the major TradFi news channels are calling it that way. All right, so let's quickly see what else we got here. We got a lot. So there's a few interesting things to note for just the next 48 hours. One thing is specifically about XRP. Big news, the Bitwise XRP ETF is set to begin trading on the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow with the ticker XRP. It has a management fee of 0.34%. I don't know exactly why they did that. Not exactly sure 100%, which is waived for the first month or on the first $500 million in assets. This product brings investors spot exposure to XRP, the crypto asset that aims to modernize global payments. Here's why XRP is interesting. It's one of the longest running blockchains with a 13-year track record and super vibrant community of supporters. It's the world's third largest digital asset with $125 billion in market cap. It's going after a massive $250 trillion cross-border payment opportunity. It can settle payments in 3 to 5 seconds for a fraction of a cent. It's got a growing list of assets that are being tokenized on the XRP ledger, including U.S. Treasuries, digital commercial paper, private credit, and money market funds. And our mission at Bitwise is to provide access to the most exciting themes in crypto. And so we are thrilled to launch XRP and bring XRP's potential real-world impact to investors through a professionally managed investment vehicle. So that is pretty interesting. I mean, not the craziest of announcements, some people are making it seem, because this is just expected and let's call it coming up. But let's quickly see here. The material must be accompanied by a prospectus. Please read the prospectus. The Bitwise XRP ETF is not suitable for all 𝗕𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. I mean, if you're holding XRP though, I'm going to call it a pretty bullish thing, a pretty exciting next step. Because we saw ourselves the first Canary ETF, and from there on forward, we're just expanding piece by piece, but it's going pretty quickly. And we said this before. Grayscale made their announcement right now for an ETF. We've got now Bitwise, we've now got Canary. Yeah, this is going to start growing really, really quickly, right? Soon we'll have all the XP ETFs, all the freaking Dragon Balls. I don't think it's going to take too long a time. All right, let's quickly see what else we have in this little list here. We talked about the 4-year cycle, and I think his opinion still is wrong. That's, again, my personal opinion. Let's quickly see what we have here. Chad actually had a nice little fun prediction for the XP ETFs. Assume current prices. Use the first 7 phase funds combined, then average up to 12 funds for phase 2. Canary, 1.8 billion XRP. Bitwise, 2.8 billion XRP, 21 shares, 7 billion XRP. CoinShares, nothing. WisdomTree, 3 billion XRP. Grayscale, about 1 billion XRP, and Franklin Templeton, about 6 billion XRP. This is, again, just an estimation. 1 year 7 fund total would be about 22 billion XRP. Average 5 fund phase 2, 3.5 billion XRP. 1 year 12 fund total, 40 billion XRP. Now, what he is talking about here is the idea, and this is, again, his idea, that the entire public supply will be gone in exactly 1 year unless the price of XRP dramatically increases to slow down the acquisition rate. And again, I'm not 100% sure how exactly he got to this number. Perhaps he just took the day 1 inflows of Canary and extrapolated them with relative size to Bitwise or 21 shares, with, for example, the purchasing power staying the same across the board of all these relative to now current size. I'm not exactly 100% sure, though. Let's quickly see here if there's any better calculation. Because he's been going on a rampage and been going pretty viral, but I'm not exactly 100% sure how. Franklin Templeton XRP ETF scenario, assume current price, assume industry predictions of day 1 of asset volume, 150 million to 250 million used on average. Then again, volume and just pure net accumulation are different. But regardless, 200 million day 1, use 50% XRP acquired. 100 million worth of XRP, 50 million XRP or so. 50 million daily forward, 23 million XRP. That would mean that the end number after 1 year is about $12 billion or so, which seems like a bit too large, but sure, it's possible. And he's just talking, you get it, right? He's talking about these ETFs taking in loads of money. Now, the reason I'm not fully on the same page as him is because I personally think that regardless of how much money can go into these ETFs, theoretically speaking, it's still within the public. Just like now with the Bitcoin ETF, etc., from BlackRock, you may say it's been taken off the freaking map, but it's not fully true, right? You can see BlackRock keeps depositing onto Coinbase Prime whenever their clients want to sell. And so it's still within the ecosystem. It's just not in the same hands as before. And I say, if the price does go up and nobody really is eager to sell, you're getting these gated ecosystems like BlackRock owning or controlling the majority of XRP or Bitcoin or whatever. It's still available to the public because they can use BlackRock to purchase it themselves, or they can use BlackRock to sell in that sense. But we're just saying, you get these like walled gardens where out of the 21 million Bitcoin out there, or the 100 billion XRP out there, if all of a sudden 50% of that is held by a few parties, which again are holding it from many, many parties, again, well, but the way that crypto is right now available for all, like loosely, it's different than stocks. Because with a stock or something like that, it's all walled gardens, right? You can only buy them from an intermediary, let's call it. With these cryptocurrencies, sure, there's always, you need to buy it from a different party, but you can hold everything yourself. You don't actually need any sort of platform, and you can control it all yourself as well. You do not need any other party in that sense. Even the company themselves, like in this case, Ripple here, or XRP Foundation, let's call it. They don't give a crap about you, or they can't do anything about it. If you want to hold or sell or move it, they can't do anything, and potentially they can't even know you are the owner, which is different than with stocks. And from that angle, to get these walled gardens is actually quite an interesting thing because there's a lot more privacy parts in that than with stocks. Regardless, let's quickly move on. So there's another interesting video here. All right, and this is a few minutes, but I think it was quite interesting. But by the way, I'm noticing right now we've got about 250 people watching. We've got only 28 likes pressed, even though we've been streaming for about 15 minutes here. If you've not done it yet, make sure you press that like button right now. 250 people watching. Let's get those likes up to at least 50. Because why not? You've got nothing to lose. It costs you nothing. And I'll also say one more thing. And this may be a bit controversial. I don't think it is, but let me quickly pull it up here. So it's this one. Let me see. Let me go there. Then let me go. I think it's this one. There we go. So another thing I'll quickly note upon is if you look at the description, right? You can see I've got a link right there that states, I'm not sure 100% what it states. Let me quickly double check for you. My description says, join our Telegram signals group, right? If you've not done it yet, it's completely free, by the way. I recommend you to check it out because everything we've been sharing in here over the past couple of days has been pretty freaking accurate. So a lot of shorts have been noted upon, and actually one of them almost got stopped out, but still it ended up in a really, really massive green. And if we're taking a look, all the trades throughout the past week here have been pretty awesome. So yesterday, these are the 3 trades that were shared yesterday. Arbitrum plus 40%, Ethereum plus 80%, and AVA plus about 70%. This is just from yesterday. If you calculate the returns from all the trades over the past week or so, and again, I only opened the group to the public just a few, like yesterday. So, yeah. You know, we can't necessarily see the results from every single thing. But still, if you take a look at the results here, they've been pretty freaking accurate. Make sure you go ahead and join that group. Completely free. Link is down below. And somebody had an interesting opinion here. Wait, let me quickly also find this for you. This is good. This is good. Let's see here. Salvador says 240 people watching, at least 200 are bots. If you're watching this right now, just say hey, or whatever. Just say something in the chat right now to prove. We've got about, let's see, we've got about 235 people watching right now. If you're watching this, you got to quickly just send a little message in the chat box to see how many people are actually around. All right, just once. You can go back into your cave or your bathtub right afterwards. Just one little message to see how many people we actually got here. I understand if you're too busy, no worries, but I just want to quickly prove to this guy there's at least a few people here actually watching that just don't like to comment anything. All right, so we've got John, Steven, Nuts, moving from Texas to the Philippines. That's pretty cool. We've got Andrew, we've got Andy, we've got King Christopher, we've got Dr. Gamer, Tom, Vin, C, Robbie, Chris. Oh, you see, Juicebox, Jim, from the bottom, Ruiz, Denny, Adam. Oh, yeah, look at that. Stefan Verstappen, Belgium in the house, Olezig. Hey, I'm not a bot from the Bahamas. Welcome, welcome. Hey, yo, we got Shane, we got Craig. Dusty, what's good, player? It was good, player. Chicagoland checking in. I appreciate you stopping by, Zachary. 5:55 a.m. Louisiana bathtub. That is maniac behavior. You're watching this stream at 5:55 a.m. Who's the one living life wrong? Like, in all seriousness, are you the crazy one for watching this at 5:55 a.m. in a bathtub, or am I the crazy one that doesn't conform with the standards? Because to me, that sounds like demon hours. Who's watching a freaking crypto live stream 5 o'clock in the morning in a bathtub? Who does that? Or am I the crazy one because I use the wrong times and stuff? Are the bubbles involved? My God. 356 on a toilet. Hey, screw you, man. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe you're typing this little message right now from a toilet. If you are, you got to get yourself checked, brother. That's crazy stuff. Regardless, so this was actually quite interesting to me. I don't necessarily like showing long videos, but, you know, in a market like this, I do believe it's quite nice to look into different strategies for, let's call it profit, for trading, and for basically anything in that field. Why am I saying that right now? Well, if we take a look at some of the posts I had come in here, one of which came from 𝗬𝗬𝗋. This is a person who publicly lost like $60 or $70 million just last month off of the 10-10 move. And he now shared, I am now bearish. I've been building that conviction for the past week and should have established it sooner, but hindsight is what it is. I'm now shorting. I'll make a more detailed thesis post tomorrow. And the thing that I find kind of funny is, even though this person made tons of money throughout his career and lost at least $67 million that we could all publicly see, he's still an interesting character by going bearish after a 30% sell-off. And we established before that this, theoretically speaking, is basically the worst that we can most likely get. It could go slightly lower, but in reality, not that much lower. And so I realized for myself as well, especially with the amount of money I lost this month, right, the past, let's say, 2 months, I realized there's always different strategies to get to the top, but 𝗬𝗂𝗀 is one of the most famous Twitter characters. I wanted to share his opinion on the matter. Every person who follows me should take a few minutes to watch and listen to this. Trust me, been trading and in the markets and survived and thriving for 15 plus years. Free alpha courtesy of FOMO Hour. And it's right here. 𝗬𝗂𝗀 explains the 60-40 framework he uses to take profits and stay on top of the market. So I'm going to say, let's quickly give this a little look, huh?
I don't always get out of the top. You know, I want to make that very clear. You know, I round trip, you know, clones a lot, Azuki, you know, some of things I got out, like apes and stuff I got out. But I think the key, the way I look at things is like I just start unwinding. You know what I mean? I'll start unwinding, and then like, I'll just want to buy some cool shit. I'll just start putting into like a retirement account of mine, like a very traditional, like JP Morgan 401k type thing, for, you know, someday down the line that I can never touch, that gives like 7-8%. You know, that's it. I'm okay with that. So I try to do it like that. The key is I try to just unwind. Like the way I look at my portfolio, you know, I try to do like a traditional 60 at the top level. I try to do a 60-40 portfolio, which is like 60% risk. So there's like a very famous like Nobel Prize winning you know, research that came out, which is like the 𝗕𝗫𝗀𝗃 optimal theory, portfolio theory. So basically it says like you have a 60-40 portfolio, which is 60% equity, 40% bonds. A lot of funds are built off that, by the way. A lot
Really?
of so 60-40 is supposed to be
okay.
Yeah, so yeah. So 60-40 is supposed to be like the ideal, you know, theoretical how your portfolio at the top level should be, which is 40% is like, you know, bonds, like more cash-like instruments that give you, you know, annuity. And then 60% is more your risk, which is your stocks. Then you look at your stock 60%, you're like, okay, I want to be, then you fine tune. You're like, okay, 40% of that, I want to be in safe assets, safe stocks. Then 10% I want to be in tech stocks. Then I want to go high risk, crypto, etc. And then in there, you're like, okay, I want to be in meme coins, this much. And then what's cool about that is that you put in, say, 1%, 2% into these high risk meme coin NFT type, they go up like 10x, 100x. And then they become the majority of your portfolio all of a sudden. And then you're like, okay, I need to rebalance to that 60-40. So you just cut and bring that exposure back down. So automatically it becomes a profit, right? Because you're just rebalancing yourself. Now the thing is, you have to think about your life. Like, you know, if you're older, you don't want to be more. You're like, okay, I have not that much exposure to the stock market because I don't have a job that's, you know, maybe a Wall Street job or a crypto job, or my equity of my life is not all into crypto, or a company that I'm building that's all into crypto. So in that case, I want to take more crypto risk. So you increase that 60%, right? Now, let's say, let's take an example. You have a company that you're building in crypto, right? You're like, okay, so my life is very all into crypto. If crypto does
This is
bad,
why I
my
fuck up.
company's.
This is exactly why I fuck up.
I know you do. I mean, we've had this conversation before, where you're like, I'm all into crypto already. My entire life is crypto. I need to build this company that's all crypto, and then you double down. You're like, oh, I want to invest in crypto as well. So now you're doubling down. So you're basically like fully levered to the tits on crypto. So if crypto goes down, you're completely fucked, right? So if you have a lot of exposure to crypto, your investments should really not be that much crypto. So if you work in crypto, like when I was on Wall Street, I had almost no. I was just like, my job could be gone. My bonus is all connected to it. You want to not have that much exposure from investments. And so I was more bonds, safe blue chip stocks, stuff like that. Then when I was a period of time in a job where I had a very safe job, I knew I couldn't be fired. I was a managing director. I was like, I'm good. Then I was like, okay, I don't have exposure to the upside because my bonus wasn't that high up. So I'm like, okay, I got to put more money in that. So when you move around, and then say if you're young, you got to go all in, take all the risk you can. You're like, you're married, you think you're going to have a family someday, you got to change, So when you have that 60-40 and you plan your life to that 60-40.
Okay. I forgot that his way of talk is a bit too rambly, perhaps. Because even I'm looking at this thinking, damn, Nick, get to your point, brother. But the idea was quite nice, right? The idea is as follows, without anybody having to suffer any more minutes from this. Damn. It's to not be a degenerate. And there's two things I'll say about that. One is quickly to answer the question. Somebody says, how do you lose 16 million unless you sell? No, I said 67 million, not 16, right? Or 69 million. 16 is nothing in the grand scheme of things, right? 67 is a big deal if you're trying to get to 100 M's, which is what his goal was. So the point, how do you lose this? Well, how do you acquire? If right now, I'm asking you, right, how will you get to $100 million next year? The answer is pretty freaking tough. It's like, I don't know, because it depends on how rich you are, but it's quite a tough journey. So you're going to have to play with risk ever so slightly somewhere. And just like when I talk about these, I think this chart is a bit outdated now. I think I might have to refresh. Let's quickly give this a little refresh. This is 𝗫𝗀, by the way, which, by the way, is also where right now you've got something pretty nice going on. I'll quickly pull it up here. If you've not got an account just quite yet, right now you've got a pretty nice little bonus going on where you can actually get yourself upwards of a Rolex, about 10K, or some other nice little prizes just for trading. And if you're trading anyway, this is just free money, so why not? Regardless, if we're taking a look here, right? So you can see I've got $1 million XRP position. Okay, now it's only 870,000, but it's $1 million position, let's call it. And we opened that for only 80,000. So the thing is, you can do this as far as you want to. This position, I only put $80,000 in. I'm $134,000 at a loss. How is this possible? Because of leverage and because of having more money in your account. So the reason this becomes now a big deal is because this guy, this character who lost all that money was also able to get that money by doubling down, and playing a bit with leverage. I'm going to say, even though many people say in my chat, stay away from leverage, I always say it differently. It's embrace leverage up to a certain degree because that's how you make the big bucks. But it's riskier. If you've already got a ton of money, right, and you don't necessarily want that much more, screw it. Why even use it at all? But many people have got an edge. Many people have got that freaking dog in them. I mean, I can see accounts, right? Especially all the people that are in our, let's call it, team. There are some people who turned $40,000 into $6 million in just a few weeks or months. There are some people on the opposite side who turned $100,000 into zero. But that's the thing. People think they are going to be that person, and sometimes they are. Sometimes you're just at the right place, the right time. Remember when Carl, another YouTuber, turned, I think, I'm not sure how much money anymore, maybe 200,000 into 5 million in just a week? How? Because he bought XRP with some leverage, right time, right place. It can happen. And that's also what a lot of people are in this thing for, because they realize, hey, if they just continue to buy that dip, as long as it doesn't dip too far, they can make so much money on the way back upwards. Right now, for example, if I deposit another, let's call it $100,000, right? Which, I mean, I have it. I could buy it right now, just out of principle. If I right now buy another, let's say $1 million worth of XRP right here, right now, we're averaging our price out from $2.43 together with $2.11 to, let's just call it $2, maybe, I guess from $2.40, $2.10. Let's say $2.20 something, right? Now, I'm only down a little bit. I'm only down 5% or so instead of being down, let's say 13%. Just say as an example. So the moment now that we go above this $2.20 something, let's just say, I'm right now in profit. And again, that's profit on a $2 million position instead of a $1 million position. So obviously, if we're doubling down right here, as long as XRP then doesn't fall too much on the short term, we make so much freaking money. And that's what people are calculating all day, every single day. How high can they take the risk where it's not that much of a risk? In this case here, our wreckage price is $1.30 in XRP. How much risk can they take without it becoming too big? Yeah, so that's the thought process behind that. Now, Sean here says, I've been stacking for 7 years, never sold. I'm up 150K, and it's at a low again, and I'm not selling shit. I guess I'm not a trader, I'm an investor. Sometimes you go from investor to trader over time. Or again, even if you're just swing trading, meaning you buy and sell once every few months, you know, you can consider yourself an investor, you consider yourself a trader. I think it always depends on if you see your profit in dollars or in coins. You know, I always consider these investors people who want to maximize the amount of coins they have, and traders the people that want to maximize the amount of dollars or euros or whatever that they have. And another thing here, also realize that my portfolio is down about 50%, if not more, just in like, I'm going to say 7 weeks here. So you guys remember, I lost so much money on that 10/10 crash. And when I say so much money, you know, maybe you can see me playing around here with a couple $100,000. In a humble, flexy way, this is not the biggest of deals to me. I can lose this and nothing really changes. The amount of money I lost on that day is so severe that the reason I did not post some videos for a month or so is just to kind of see where you want to take your life. But it's also to get back to that video just now, or you can find it here, why I've started to embrace more traditional investment tactics. Because like I said, like you saw, actually I should say, with this person, the white whale who lost $60-70 million. At the end of the day, this is greed, right? At 67 mil, let's call it. I mean, he must have a lot of money in different places still, but what else do you need, right? But he had a goal of getting to 100 M's. I think it was at like 90 mil or something like that, something close to that. And still he was able to just delete it all. What do you learn from that? On the one hand, you learn to not be greedy and take your wins whenever you can take them. On the other side, you can see, you know what? If he was able to do it once, he can do it again. And I'm mostly on that side now after thinking about it for a while as well. I'm mostly on that side of, you know what? If somebody's able to generate all this money, and now, for example, my portfolio is down, let's call it, say 60% in just 2 months. If somebody can be down this much, oh boy, can they make it back up again. And that's, again, why leverage sometimes is a beautiful thing. Because in these points where I think the bottom is quite close, I can go a little bit higher on the leverage, a little bit more towards an all-in. Again, not crazy numbers. I'm just saying a little bit more. And if we're right, it pays off well to just get back what you've lost. Now, this is not a revenge type of strategy. The goal is not to get back everything. I'm just saying this is a step towards that. There's people like Big Brother Machi who are doing it a severe way of just longing the freaking bottom like crazy with heavy leverage every single time. Keep getting wrecked, keep getting wrecked. The thing is, one time is going to be right though, and it'll make tens of millions of dollars probably in like a week. But I'm not that big a fan of that because it's too much risk and too much mental just anguish. You know, this is not fun. But similar strategies do work out though. Again, with lower leverage, just taking your time, realizing that if you were able to lose it, you'll be able to make it back. And realizing that right now, just looking at XRP, for example, I'm going to say we are so freaking cheap. This is my opinion. We are so freaking cheap. We're getting ourselves prices that we saw back in June of 2025 again. I think it's just worth to stack up at these levels, even if we're wrong, right? And we tend to go down lower, or we end up going down lower. I think it was worth it to start my accumulation journey and go a bit harder than many would say is wise, just because I've got that dog in me and I don't care. Right? I don't care what other people are saying. Having said that, this is actually an interesting one. Grayscale XRP Trust ETF coming up. And matter of fact, I made this whole video to share what was coming up shortly. It's now only about an hour away. If you're wondering, there's another major event coming out in about an hour or so. We've got ourselves the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate without the unemployment rate. So I don't really get that. Let me quickly double check here. Guys, if I remember correctly, we were going to get ourselves unemployment rate numbers without actual unemployment rate numbers, right? Joe Buddy says, I don't trade on leverage. I just bought XRP 4 years ago, held, waited longer, and it worked. For sure. I'm going to say that for most people that do not know what they're doing, the best way to approach investing as a concept is just to invest anything. Because most people in the world don't invest a dollar. They just save it. Investing is the best step you'll make in your life. The second best step, I think, is to maximize opportunities wherever they are. And sometimes for some people that is a leverage thing. For most people, it's just buying and just forgetting about it. Because the moment they touch it, it goes bad. But for me, The leverage thing has made me way more money now than I'll ever be able to lose, in my opinion. So I think it was a very good idea for me, but it depends on the person. Again, right place, right time. Leverage is your best friend. Wrong place, wrong time. You also get wrecked harder. So yeah, that's the thing with all these investment vehicles, though. And again, anyway, can you all confirm? So we're gonna get ourselves in about 1 hour the non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate. But I thought, let me quickly double confirm. November unemployment rate. I thought we were not gonna get a rate this time, or was it? Let's see. Okay, let me quickly double confirm. Yeah, I do believe this is the case. U.S. canceling October's employment report after shutdown prevented data collection by Reuters. Reuters. I don't know how to pronounce that still. I never know. U.S. canceling October's employment report after shutdown prevented data collection. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said on Wednesday it would not be publishing the closely watched employment report for October, but will combine non-farm payrolls for that month with November's report after the recently ended government shutdown prevented the collection of data for the household survey. That means October's unemployment rate will never be known, something that the White House had warned would happen. That is actually quite interesting to me. So they're just going to be like, you know what? Yeah, we don't know anything about unemployment. So we're saying because the government shut down, they don't have this data? Really? That sounds like a severe problem. Because then in that sense, how can you ever get the right data? If you don't keep track of this data over time, how do you keep accurate data? Because you could argue that, they could just re-inquire. But if they could just re-inquire and they don't need to keep a proper record, then why couldn't they re-inquire now? You're saying, it took too long. Well, the government shutdown ended last week? And it's some of the most important numbers for your country? You're going to skip a whole month? Strategic Navigator says they kicked the can down the road. That is crazy to me. That sounds like the U.S. government, though. That does sound a bit typical. You know what? I'm not doing it. And you're not doing it, so we'll do it next month. That's crazy to me. Everybody, if you're watching this stream right now, and you've not done it yet, make sure you go ahead and press that like button. We've had about 1,500 people stop on by in the last 40 minutes. We have about 330 people watching right now. If you've not pressed that like button yet, right now is your best time to do so. And your second best time is probably in 1 second from now. So if you've not done it yet, just quite yet, make sure you do that. And second of all, like I said earlier, if you're interested in trading, check out the trading group we've got down below. It's completely free, 100% free. And recently, the results have been pretty freaking nice. Again, it's the first link in the description of the stream, the first link in the description of all my videos right now. It's just like a trade club we've got that has been pretty freaking profitable over the past couple of days. And I'll share it for a while. The next couple of days, I'll probably be sharing it because it's going to be a limited thing. At least for right now, it's just open to everybody. All check it out. Maybe we'll do a maximum of 100 people or something like that. We've only got 10 people in, so it should be okay. But it's been pretty good. I mean, as I said before, you can always just check it out and then not do anything. But it's worth it to have the data, especially if you're trading actively. All right, so this white whale guy, just for fun, by the way, if we scroll through his tweets, let's quickly see if we can. Oh, no, he posts way too much to get to something. Yeah. No, I thought maybe he had a nice little post about or maybe his highlights. Wait, let's see this. Oh, he highlights every post. Okay, let's see. Also, fun little fact. I hope she's not watching, but if you guys are on Twitter permanently like I am, you'd know that the white whale had a big issue with 𝗕𝗓𝗃. It's another crypto exchange. And fun fact, we had a little discussion about white whale just a few days ago, me and the boys, and the discussion with 𝗕𝗫𝗀 is with a specific customer support officer, right? The customer support, let's just say CSO or CCSO. I'm not sure exactly. This one's Cecilia. And the fun fact is, I had opened White Whale, who is, I guess, their arch nemesis now. I opened his profile, and then I met Cecilia. So we're like, talking about Twitter. I didn't know which Cecilia was. I didn't recognize her face. And she saw that I just looked up that White Whale guy. So it was kind of like a funny, interesting conversation. But yeah, that's just a little side note I wanted to quickly share. Regardless, I was looking quickly for some of the posts where you could see his massive amounts of profit, but it's been too long ago, I guess, right? Because we can't see it anymore right here. Yeah, it's a while back. Man, time flies, man. Let's see. Okay, here we have at least some screenshots of him being up a pretty good penny. P&L 8 million. Let's see here. P&L 190K. But these are all smaller trades. I'm still a $20 million trade, up 13 million. And this is where I talked before about, people with accurate knowledge, accurate inputs can actually do really, really well off of leverage. It just all depends, man. Depends on how you're playing the game. But that's also how some guy was able to turn 50K into how much? 20 million or something like that in the span of, I think, a month on the ETH rise, or maybe 2 months, on the ETH rise from 1,500 to 4K. Right place, right time. It's your best friend. Wrong place, wrong time. You hate your life. Regardless, Coinbase. System update incoming. Exciting product announcement. Key business updates. Lots of other cool stuff. A new era of Coinbase is beginning December 17th. Yeah, I mean, they hyped us up a lot. They said, check our bio. It's going to be interesting. And it turns out that their whole thing in their bio was just a new Coinbase update. I mean, I'm not so sure what new product announcements could be or key business updates or what exactly or how big this is going to be because they're making it a big deal. But I don't know. I don't know how big it's going to be. I just wanted to quickly share it. Anyway, another post I thought was quite interesting. Mainstream media pundits are starting to grave dance crypto. Is this a bottom signal? Yeah, I already described before that it feels to me like this is a pretty solid bottom for cryptos. We've gone down so much. XRP, BTC, both at like bottom territory in terms of logical bottoms. I'm, again, like I said, locking in at these levels, just going for it, as I personally think where you can't go down that much further. And so this is, again, the area where I start buying a bit more aggressively. I'm not all in, but it's getting closer and closer towards it. And some strategy out there, by the way, is to always make sure you can go down for BTC, like let's say 30% more, especially right now that we've already fallen 30%. Make sure you keep in mind we could go down an easy 30% more. It's not true. I don't think we can actually go that much down in a short amount of time, but let's just say you keep it in the back of your head. And for altcoins, and this is the stupid thing, you always keep in mind that an altcoin could drop 40, 50, and what we saw recently is 99.9% in the day. But on average, on a normal day, it's usually not going to drop more than 10 or 20% in the day, in like really, really bad days. If you've got a mass liquidation event like this Black Swan, like last month, some coins fell 60 or 70%, but that's not normal, right? Those are the outliers. Theoretically, though, one nice way to go about that, about those massive dips, is to keep some longs or some orders open. If you have, for example, the exchange you're using, put an order to buy XRP at 45 cents, for example, or whatever your liquidation price is at, put another buy order just below that, maybe even just by 1 cent, but just to put a buy order just below that or around that. And the reason I'm saying that is because if the market does move down that hard, but it's not a full-on glitch happening, there might actually be a chance of you getting yourself a very, very low entry price. And even though the majority of people will not be able to, maybe you get lucky, you get yourself a massive entry that can basically never get wrecked again over time. And so you make all the loss back instantly when the price bounces back up. And that is, again, if we're talking about such a mass liquidation event, going from $2.40 to $1.13, like we saw the 10th of the 10th, if you had also gotten buy orders in at $1.15, for example, well, the price instantly sprung back up above $2, you would have doubled your money just within a freaking snap, right? So it's pretty interesting. Strategic says, I would short the market. That's what Aladdin is best at. That's all they do. Lately is short the freaking market. Yeah, our group actually has also mostly been shorting here recently. Even though it's not my personal favorite thing to do, right? And that's, again, a personal bias. I don't really like shorting too much. If we take a look, where's 1, 2, 3, 3? Let me quickly go back. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay. go here. 1, 2, 2, 3. Where's 1, 2, 2, 3? 1 second. 1, 2, 2, 3. Okay, this one. Yeah, this is also our trading group, like I said, which is completely free. First link in the description down below. And, well, you can see all of these have basically been shorts, and shorts have been popping off recently, though. So, yeah. People are sharing their profit screenshots right here. Yeah, that is pretty cool, huh? Everything's been working out pretty nicely. Regardless, I'm not a big fan of shorting because we all know one thing. What is, in my opinion, promised to us, what is going to happen is to the right on the time axis and up on the price axis. So to the top right, we're going to go for sure, in my opinion. What is not certain is that we'll actually have another further dip somewhere in the process. It's likely, but not certain. So I'm always certain to just open up longs and be comfy. I'm not so certain to open up shorts because I think they will inevitably get wrecked if I don't close them on time. And so on that note, since I've already got a ton of crypto, in theory, if I wanted to short it, what I could do is just sell my spot and be comfy. I don't actually like to short because the loss is like potentially infinite. Whereas with selling, I know exactly what I'm at. Anyway, so no wonder privacy coins are pumping. Starting the 1st of January, Bitcoin, every Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoin trade gets reported to the IRS, apparently. Only 25% of crypto traders are currently filing their files correctly, but there's what nobody's saying. The White House is reviewing rules to force offshore exchanges to snitch on U.S. users too. The tax haven era is ending. Privacy was never guaranteed, but now it's officially extinct. 2025 is transition relief, 2026 full surveillance. I don't think so yet. I think this is more of a scaredy tactic. I mean, I was already reporting my tax accurately in 2017 for crypto stuff as well, maybe even 2016. Probably just from the start, but you probably still and realistically don't have to now just quite yet, depending on how you do your stuff. I mean, if you're using the exchanges I always use, in reality, because you could just use them with the VPN and all this stuff, I don't know. I feel as if you could just do whatever and they won't really know. It just depends on how you're moving your money in and out, right? If that one factor you've got is heavily monitored, you're using your exact KYC proper account, making a direct deposit into somewhere, it's more difficult than if you're making a double step. Taking it, for example, from Coinbase to MetaMask, from MetaMask to another exchange. They don't know where your money went, right? But if you went from one exchange to another, that's KYC'd and then it's not KYC'd, theoretically speaking, you made a direct transfer in that. It could have been a payment, sure, but that's a little bit more. If that exchange then decides to share the records, might be a bit more direct and a bit more annoying. That's why I sometimes say it's nice to take extra steps with another self-hosted wallet. So it's a bit harder for them to flag you down. Not financial advice, just my thoughts. An article I see now. Bitwise XRP ETF set to launch today creates major confusion. Why is that? Bitwise files spot XRP ETF on the ticker XRP with Coinbase as custodian. Launch expected tomorrow. NYSE announcement pending. I still wonder how you guys were able to choose XRP for the official ticker. Now we need to write explainers to differentiate between XRP, the asset, and XRP, the Bitwise ETF. This highlights the potential confusion surrounding the ticker symbol and its implications for both retail and institutional investors. I also don't fully get that. Why were they allowed to have that as a ticker? I don't know. That is a good question. Vincent van Code, another observer, pointed out that the native XRP token will likely play a different role in the market, acting as a wholesale token for settlement, custody, and transfers. Retail investors, according to Van Code, will primarily trade the ETF. I don't think so, retail. But still, why did they go for XRP? Why not, BXRP or XRPB or something stupid like that? That's a good question. That is indeed a good question. I'm taking a look. By the way, here's our crypto coins right now. Slowly but sure. Can we say this? Can we call this recovering? Or can we call this just less suffering for like the short term? I mean, we're up. You know, XRP went from $2.03 to $2.11. That's pretty nice. But you'll see these numbers, the 24-hour numbers change in a few hours. I'll quickly open it up wide. So, especially once we get to that dip in a few hours from now. Let's go to 24 hours. Here we go. In about 8, 9 p.m. this time, all of a sudden it's going to start to look like XRP is up a ton if we're able to hold these prices. Right now it seems we're down, right? But in reality, yesterday we were down so much further, 202. But it takes a bit of time for the number to look bullish. But it will. Give it a bit of time. It's coming. It's coming. Well, so that is all coming up. I think we covered the majority of the things I wanted to cover for today, though. I think so. Yeah, so this is coming out in about 1 hour. I guess non-farm payrolls is coming out, though, right? Even though unemployment numbers won't come out. Do you hold any 𝗕𝗂𝘀? Yeah, I do. I should sell it, though, right? No, the thing is, in markets like this, I actually think almost any altcoin is pretty garbage because for the most part, they don't really pump too much. They mostly just go down. Bitcoin seems to be kind of key in here until the market shows some signs of recovery. Now, if you want to speculate hard, altcoins will make you more money on the way back upwards. But let me see now. Yeah, my 𝗕𝗂𝘀 here. Oh, you're talking about 𝗕𝗂𝘀. 𝗕𝗂𝘀 is 𝗕𝗵𝐶N. So I'm not so sure which one you are talking about. But I'm looking through. It's down 20% this week, 30% this month. Tremendously down from the peak I saw a few months ago. I'm still up on my investment, but still I'm down tremendously for what I could have been at. So maybe it's time to sell some. Call me stupid, but I don't know. There we go. Let me swap some. Thank you for pointing out that I should be selling more stupid things. And I'm not selling it for dollars, but I'm just buying SOL with it. And the main reason I do that is just to get back into coins that have a higher likelihood of sticking around if the market does go down further. And again, if the market shows some good signs of recovery, I usually go back into scarier assets. But again, that's all dependent on the market, all dependent on the timing there. Nice. All right. Angel says, I just bought some half an hour ago. Luvinus says, has the bull run even started? Yeah, the bull run started in November 2022. So about 3 years ago. And even though in the short term you can claim these things as different, you know, bull, bear, or whatever, I still think this market is going to last for quite a good while. And the altcoin season is yet to start. There have been 2 mini sprees, like October 2024, 3 mini sprees. January 2025 was another like little hike because of Trump and stuff, or you can call that one of them, and then one just now, like I guess 3 months to a few months. I guess it depends because for XRP it was kind of different than for most of the alts, which saw their boom a bit later. But let's just say there were 2 main booms. I'm going to say half out throughout 2025, the start of 2025, and potentially right now after this biggest of dips, another one yet again. I said before, right, for a long time I always said, I'm going to start selling my coins at the start of 2025. The start of 2025 came, and we didn't really see much yet, so I said, okay, we need to start selling end of 2025, between August of 2025 and January of 2026. Now that we've gotten to November, mid-November even, I'm starting to think, ooh, maybe perhaps it's still time for one more good rally. And the thing is, if ETH were to cross like 7,000, Bitcoin were 135,000, I would mostly just think that we had a really bad run, but the run is over. But now I just think that the ETFs kind of pushed the peak of the run further out. And so it's not like August of 2025 like I expected, but more like January 2026. But that's the kicker. That's still 2.5 months or so where we still most likely can peak before the inevitable happens. But even that inevitable, how low can we really go after that? It is a good question. It's just hard to say. Luvenus says, when do you think we will see some big rally for alts? My brother, I'm telling you right now, honestly, if I knew, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Because even I am in the middle of saying, hey, we are either going down for a few more months, it's going to be awful to watch, or it's going to be, by the way, or it's going to be a really, really beautiful journey here where we just continue on to the gains, and anybody who's sold now is going to hate their lives. It says my wallet just lost $1,000. What did I do? Did I press something? All right, we'll take a look at that later. I won't take a look at it later. Maybe I just made a wrong swap and I lost a few $1,000. I need to learn the new 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏 app. I need to learn how it works. Let's see. Should be okay. Man, I have so many freaking accounts. Forgot this was a thing. We'll figure it out later. All right. C says, just tuning in. What's going on? To be honest, nothing that crazy. I mean, we were supposed to get ourselves non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate in about an hour from now. We just covered a lot of random miscellaneous things of everything that's happening right now, everything that's going on. And there's not really one thing to pinpoint towards that is the major event, except for Nvidia just last night and them beating their quarterly numbers. Or their earnings numbers, I should say. I think it's monthly now, right? What else is really, really interesting right now? Yeah. C says, are we buying right now? Yeah, I'm buying all the time. There's not a day where I won't buy at least a good chunk. You know, every time I open an exchange, I'm telling you this right now, there's not a single time that I open an exchange, which I do multiple times a day, that I'm not buying at least 20 or 50,000. Every single time I open it. Just to make sure that if we do recover, I'm not going to be left behind. And that reminds me of guys like Big Brain Soul, who sometimes just buy a few $1 million in a freaking snap. You know, there's levels to this. He might have hundreds of millions of dollars, which perhaps I may not have access to. Okay, access is different, but let's just say I don't have for the dip buying purposes. And there's different levels to it, but I'm trying my best to buy every single time I can. KG just says his reload for XRP was at 202. You see, sometimes you get lucky. You get a good little juicy price, and you get a few percent, maybe even 5% profit in just a few hours. $2.02 to $2.11. It is a good freaking swing if you're able to catch them. C says, you know, some of us are not trading in such big quantities. How about just $50? I just buy $50. You know that I think a lot of people watching this right now don't have $50 to buy, my friend. All right, a lot of the people I know are buying, like the in real life people I know, they're buying $20 a month, and I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty badass. If you've got almost no money to spare, yet you're finding $20 somewhere to still invest in these magical assets, big applause to you, my friend. Big applause. At the end of the day, it's not about the amount of money. It's about what it is relative to you, right? And it's still all about risk and all that. I think $50 worth sometimes is still, in my opinion, a pretty good number. Depending on what you're trying to get to, of course. If you're trying to get to 10 billion, it might be a tough journey for you, brother. But if your goal is just to do well on whatever money you've got left, I don't know. I don't think the amount matters that much. I think $50 is pretty solid. Most people are probably not able to do that. Again, just my opinion on the matter, though. And again, that is from speaking to a lot of people. A lot of people don't got $50 to put into cryptocurrencies. That's why I often say as well in these videos, the fact that you're watching this stream right now, you may not be at the amount of money you ever want, but neither am I. Let's put that straight. But you're further ahead than the majority of people. Realize this. You know the amount of people that have never thought about investor, or they thought about it but have never done it. So the fact, if you've got $1 invested in the S&P, whatever stock or whatever crypto, I think you're already ahead of the curve by a significant amount. And depending, of course, on age, the younger you are, the better in a position you're at. But it's the biggest mistake I see people making. It's not investing a single dime. Yet it's the most common thing. If I walk around the neighborhood right now, I'm going to say, okay, Dubai is a bit different, but most countries, if you walk around the neighborhood, the probability of most people not having a single dollar invested, except for maybe their primary residence, is very freaking high. So I always say, if you're watching this right now, you're trying to gather more info on investments, trying to gather more info on money, I always think that's a pretty solid step for growth. C says, I'm still holding you. You haven't sold a single one since these things were 24 cents. So I'm kind of just riding the wave of generational wealth, hoping I can help my kids out in the future. Yeah, I think especially, even if your investments don't do well, right now, first of all, you're getting a lot of knowledge. And second of all, I mean, if you're talking future for your kids, that future, you've got a lot of time. I don't think it's going to be that hard, but hey, you know what? All that. 𝗕𝗏𝗏 says $30 fortnightly. I think that's fortnight is every 2 weeks, no? Because I'm on the age pension. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. And Angel says sometimes you can make more with $50 than 500. I mean, no. No, not true. I like your thinking process, Angel, but you're wrong. Because, if you're able to make whatever you make with $50, you'd probably be able to make it with $500 too. So you just make 10 times as much. If we're talking, sometimes you're able to make more with 100,000 than with 10 million. Maybe true because of restrictions. So percentage-wise, you can make more, 𝗷𝗶𝘀𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗑𝗪𝗏. But if you had $50, you had 500, you're probably making more with 500, like 99 out of 100 times. Yeah, I don't know. I like your thinking process, though. Right? $20, $50, you can still make a ton. You can make as much as somebody with 500. But if you had both of these, $50 or $500, yeah, you're probably making more when you got $500. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right, let's keep it straight. All right, let's stay realistic though, right? Let's stay realistic though. January through May was the last alt season for those inquiring. Yeah, through May. Well, I mean, I think XRP saw some crazy heights in July or something like that, no? Or was it May? I forgot. I remember being in Brazil, but I don't remember exactly when I was in Brazil. I thought it was July. I remember it being winter. But I don't remember exactly. But yeah. All right, lads. It's been a little bit over an hour. I'm going to cut it off because I've covered whatever I wanted to cover for sure. I've got some interesting videos coming up. At least one already made. It's going to be interesting. It's about, I'll quickly see again. It's about Citibank, the $1.7 trillion Citibank, saying that this could basically be the moment where we turn around. That the liquidity squeeze is ending and bullish things are coming. I've got another couple of topics that I really want to discuss. But hey, guys, if you have a specific type of video you'd like to see, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Do note, I read every single comment. There's many bots. It's really annoying to read through them. And I've gotten tired of deleting all the freaking messages. But just know, any comment you place, it will be read by me and always at least one person in my team. So no, 2 people are always reading your comments, every single one of them. So even if you think it's pointless, I always have the chat open. I always see the comments every single day. I take a look at it really, really carefully. So just know that. If you got a certain topic you'd like to get discussed, just let me know, all right? Make sure you join the Telegram too. Like I said before, it's completely free. Link is down below. I really think the number one thing you can do right now is join that spot. Even if you don't take any trades, do as you please. At least join so you can get insights on what we're doing right now. We just opened yet another trade. And again, if you are participating, make sure you don't go crazy on them. Start everything out small, and maybe just look at it for a while before even taking anything, so you get the drift. But we just posted yet another trade 5 minutes ago. So if you want to see that trade, make sure you check out the first link in the description down below to the Telegram. It's completely free, like I said. Check it out, and I'll see you guys again, most likely in another video somewhere there today, right? So if you got questions, let me know on YouTube or let me know in Discord, wherever. Just let me know. You can even DM me on Twitter. It's all good. I'll see you guys again on the crypto video somewhere later today. All right. Cheers, everybody. And good luck in this crazy market.